recording will be regarding the Delphix replication features. I'll actually be replicating a Delphix virtual database from a platform in AWS to another platform on AWS, a Delphix Dynamic Data Platform. And I'll kind of discuss some of the replication features. First, I'll log into the Delphix admin console. And then once this appears, this is the actual server that the data will be replicated to. The other Delphix engine will be the originating Delphix engine. Delphix replication appears under the System tab. And if I were to create a new replication profile, I'd write this for demo purposes. And just to indicate, if this is a selective data distribution, when I select this box, you'll notice that only the masked objects appear. Selective data distribution is controlling what is actually replicated, what Delphix will allow replicated to the secondary engine. And for whatever purposes, you can choose only secure data, not required. You can actually select any object within the Delphix engine, except user accounts, but any data asset, so to speak, we can move those over. In this case, I'm actually just going to bring the Suite CRM source, dsource over in that case. And I'll say dsource replication. Teams will actually replicate dsources for many reasons. One of them is just a simple get the dsource over into another data center. Could be used for a kind of a non-catastrophic type recovery. I'll select the target engine, and that target engine is going to be this IP address. And the username in this case is going to be Delphix admin. Spell it right. If I wanted automatic replication, I can schedule it to happen nightly. And within Delphix replication, the initial replication will actually take a fair amount of time, especially for those larger dsources. I generally assume however long it took to ingest will probably be how long it takes to actually replicate that initial dsource. After that initial replication, Delphix is only going to be replicating those changes throughout the day, or as often as you set when you want this data replicated. I can encrypt the traffic, I can limit my bandwidth, I can throttle, I can indicate how many network connections am I going to be using, in this case just the one. And then again, I'm only going to be replicating that dsource. And it's really as simple as that. I can create the profile, and then in this case I'm just going to go ahead and indicate that I'm going to replicate now. And now I'm going to, I want to replicate that object. Now this is going to take a little bit of time, but I'll show you what's happening on the Delphix engine. It's identifying this target. It's saying, hello, I'm here. And we'll see if this guy actually sees it yet. This guy does not see it yet. So once that communication is established, the replicated engine will actually start seeing it, receive the information from that job. This is actually sending the replication and showing you how quickly it's actually moving. Once this receives the entire replicated set, you'll find it under the data sets. And you'll see that this came from this particular IP address, and that was the suite. And you can see from here the entire history of the dsource came along with it. All those save points we made, those snapshots we made throughout the life of this particular source within the Delphix. You'll see the same thing. Go back to my managed datasets on the source, open my production environment, and I have this information. At this point, this is a fully functional dsource, and I can provision from this dsource. I can say, let's provision. I'm going to go to my Windows target, and I'm going to select next, and I'm going to call this replicated. and replicate it and select next. I just, again, very similar to any virtualizing database, I can create how often I want this snapshot of this database to occur. If this needs to be masked, any kind of hook operations, we talked about those in other demonstrations, a quick review, and then I can submit that information. And again, this was something that originated on an entirely different Delphix engine, an entirely different platform. It happens to be in AWS, but this could have been on-prem. We're actually seeing this is going to be provisioned and mounted and being available for operations in this particular AWS instance. Fully functional read-write copy of what was on before. So I will kind of wait for this to complete and kind of think of something else that we can show you while we're waiting. Other than the audit, you can see that the different audit functions that we received replication. Now this is actually open on port 8615 to replicate between. So if you're having any AWS instances, it'll be important if you're using the replication engine that port is available and accessible to the source engine. Within that, you can also take a look at this particular sources. I can do a network performance tool and just kind of do through the Delphix session protocol. I can actually type in this target engine just to see the performance maybe prior to actually replicating the first bulk amount over. Again, after the first bulk amount, you'll be sending only changes. This is going to verify in credentials. It's going to verify that you have actually have all those ports open as necessary. See if this job is complete. Yep, this job looks like we completed that particular database. Let's look at my data sets. So we seem like we have everything replicated in the break-fix environment. If I were to close this guy up now, it shows the parent is the suite CRMD source, and that's the environment it came from, brand new. I can run this test now, and it's just going to be running a test. Execute network test, you see what's happening here, and you'll see that is also reacting as well to that network test. And this is going to end my replication example.